Hello everyone, welcome to Feldy, Farming Simulator 11, created by Farmer Yip. And you know what, that isn't a good way to drive with my tank hanging out like that. Well, I've done a fair bit of work off cam and just on bits and bobs here and there, and here we've rolled the day over and it's mid-morning, and you know, even looking clear across the way, we can see on the hillside here that the entire Feldy estate, Feldy landscape is ready for harvest. You know, I didn't look over here. I can't really see the island at this angle, but I'm reasonably certain because, you know, we would have planted the island over here at the same time we planted all these other fields, that it also is ready for harvest. So we have another season ahead of us. So I was just kind of driving out here to check the fields, take a look at the things, and kind of, I don't know if you call it tradition, but we've had several harvests now here on Feldy. And we typically start down here on the flat with this all kind of trapezoidal shaped field. We'll just make our way down through the few trees here along the road and get down here, and it's potatoes this year. We have 3 fields of potatoes to take care of, and I know I've said it again and again. I think we're finally kind of at the point where we can do it. Here, I'll get the tank out just so we have extra fuel if it's needed. I want to do the secret mission. You know, we've done almost every mission that the map has to offer, but there's this, let me see if I can find it. Whoops, that's a chicken trough. Oh yeah, it's still working. And you know what, yeah, this was also one of the last things I wanted to do on the map here, was haul some eggs. And it takes its sweet time generating product. You can see how slowly it's moving, and we have quite a lot of material in there, so maybe we need to go up and shake the chickens so they so they produce. Anyway, I was going to look for something called the dosh. There it is, dosh plant, and we have suspected for the longest time. Here's the church over here. Way up top over here is a trigger or a place that it appears where you can dump product. So one of the ingredients, of course, is potatoes. So we're going to take some of it up there, and this is going to be interesting. I mean, it requires 100, so I don't know what it does, you know, when it gets all that. Now, we also have materials to create pigs. Matter of fact, we may already have pigs in the barn and waiting. Let me see here. Pig storage, 1,000. So, oh, you know what? I think I adjusted that a long time ago. Well, technically, we probably don't need to create more pigs. We have it. So we'd have that already ready to go, as it were. Pigs, eggs. We have sufficient eggs. We really could, if we wanted to, very shortly do the secret mission. So anyway, I'm going to leave this parked here. Got the fuel tank out so we can refuel our harvesters when needed. Let me hop to a tractor. Let me see if I can go bring. I'll need to have something to hold the potatoes in. And, you know, I've harvested potatoes twice in here. Well, yeah, twice. And the Feldy map comes, of course, with a slate of mods. Oh, and by the way, even as I drive here, I'm admiring my trimming job of all the hedges. I did that off cam. Figured I'd take care of that off cam. But anyway, The Feldy map comes with a bunch of mods, one of which is a potato picker. Probably not something that was used very often in Farming Simulator 11, as not very many maps had potatoes in them, as that wasn't a base game crop in those days. Let me just park it here. So, but the trouble is it was narrow, very narrow, so it takes all day to get anywhere. So let me just hop out of here. I'm going to go into our store. So, that was, we just by way of refreshing our memory, if we go to the Feldy equipment here, this one here, the Bolko, I don't know how to just say that. That was this one here. We have sold it. Of course, we could get another one again. The second thing that we did, let me see, do I see that? Oh, it's probably way down here. Get out of the Pro Farm mods, out of Feldy. It was two of them. First, actually, you know what? I guess I never used this to dig potatoes, but I believe it would do it. And that was this instrument here. It would dig the spuds or any tuber crop that we would put through it. In this app, it'd be either spuds or sugar beets, and it would leave them kind of on the surface. And then there was a wagon where we had people that would come along behind it. Connie, I don't know what that means, but you would see the people, and they would of course pick them up off the ground. You wouldn't see the animation of it, but that's kind of the idea, and chuck them in the wagon. And then of course we dumped them in piles in the field to be picked up later using a conveyor belt. Well, but that was kind of a double operation, where you had to go over it twice. First to dig it, and this unit here, how do you say that? Kopazka? I'm not familiar with it. Anyway, you would go over it here, and it's a little wider, than the one we had with the Feldy equipment up here, which was, where is it? Where's a potato digger? A lot of mods, and there we go, which had a very narrow width, so it was wider than that, but you still had to go over it twice. So, and it's hard to find good mods, and this one here, I had to do a fair amount of work back in the day. Let me just go find it here, and it's a self-propelled Grimme Tektron, and it has the cutter here. It still is fairly narrow, but it's going to do the whole operation all at once. It's for sure going to be wider. I mean, 3 meters is nothing to sneeze at. That's pretty wide. But it will do the whole operation. It will cut, it'll top and cut and dig, and it will rattle all the tubers out, collect them in here, and then we can take them off of the offloading here. The trouble is, and let me just go ahead and buy that now. I'll buy it. Let me see if it's popping any errors. Oh, good, it's behaving. Okay, so no errors. Let me get the cutter. And these prices are totally unrealistic. This is whatever was put in the mod, so it was 0 for this here. Let me zip over to... There it is. And the trouble with some of these mods is they really don't seem to work the best. And let me just see here. See, there's a couple errors that are appearing on it. It's already, can I even fold it in? Oh, I can. Is that going to fold the whole? Oh, it is. Well, that's a pleasant surprise. Although it's triggering a memory, this is kind of how it is when it's all folded up. So someone had to figure out, the sequence and everything to get it to do that. But anyway, it had some issues, and I wanted to do silly things like put the autopilot mod on there. So we even have that in here. So I ended up doing a fair bit of work to it just to get the pieces to work. It seemed like all the indices and the XML were off, and the parts didn't work. And it might be that there's nothing wrong with the mod. It could just be it's my machine. with something I've wrestled with this whole time. I know I've talked about it before, where the indexing is off and it's, been causing a lot of issues. Alright. Well, I presume, is that what it's supposed to look like? Alright, that's going okay. Let me see here. Alright, still no errors. That's handy. Now we can set this up to even do... no, can I do every commodity here? I'm going to do carrots, peas, yeah, all this other stuff. Okay, so I must have doctored up the autopilot for this specifically so it could handle just the 2 root crops. Traditionally you'd put that on a regular combine, which of course would never touch the root crops. So I think I added the commodities to the script. Let me see, do some other things. Well, look at that. Okay, I got the beacons working evidently. Let's see if lights, camera, action. Okay, so those, I can't really tell. Well, I guess those are all, those are all lights on there. It's a little bit hard to tell as it's a little bit dark. Let me turn those off. I don't even know if it has indicator lights. Nope, it doesn't. But not bad. Let me see if it has any special... Okay, it's got some other things in there. But anyhow, we can unfold it, once we get down there. For the moment, we're going to take a leisurely little drive kind of across the map just to get it down there. And you see up here, everything is ready to... Oh my. Is this all the faster it goes? Okay, it's speeding up a little bit, maybe. 20, 21, 22. Oh boy. Yeah, this will take a little while to get there. Alright, we'll work our way down the mountain. There's a lot of corn up here, and I guess part of it was a thought of having something for the cattle. Speaking of the cattle, let me just make sure it's on the last page here. Plenty of grass. Oops, speaking of grass, I'm in it. I guess I have a little OSR kind of over to the right here. Kind of changing up the cropping pattern here. Last time I think it was sugar beets on the right. I don't remember what I had on the left. But yeah, I do have plenty of grass in the feeding trough. I ended up picking up, that's something I did off cam, I picked up a ton of grass kind of on the north east portion of the map, that I cut some in there, and so that's kind of generously filled. And the silage clamp, I ended up pulling some of it out to give to the chickens so I could have them crank out some eggs, which they are taking their sweet chicken time at. Cattle, chicken. Yeah, I don't know why that goes so slow, but it is what it is. Let me see if I can zoom out. So yeah, there's a lot of corn, and kind of on the northwest corners of the map, I got several fields of barley, kind of clear up top. This would be east, a little north and east of where the church is. There's still some all grains up in there, but yeah, there's a lot of corn just going around, and some of it, is going to be there'll be a lot of silage production, I think, if this all gets harvested, and then some of it'll be combined, maybe to replenish some biofuel. But the reality is, kind of like I've explained in previous episodes, I don't think my time on the map is long. There's just a handful of things, I want to experience before picking another map. I think we've given this one a good run. If I'm counting correctly, I think that this here is the 115th episode. So maybe high time to go experience something else. Oh, I don't know why you're stopping, but thank you, good sir. That was very polite. And in terms of things I'd like to do yet, eggs, I want to do the special mission. I put in some new textures for, well, I didn't put them in, I activated them rather. Figured out how to do that for the manure and liquid manure when it goes on the fields. Yeah, a new way to harvest root crops. That's kind of over in the middle of now. We're almost down to the harvest field. Oh yeah, and this will be an episode in its own right. I want to use a hillside combine. I know I've mentioned that in here I don't know how many times. These hills would, in real life, if you're gonna harvest them with a combine, which is all the demand that you do it, with a hillside farming equipment. Otherwise, it'd be very inefficient for threshing. So there were a couple mods out there that purported to be hillside combines, but when I would try them, they really didn't work the best, mainly because there was no mechanism in them telling them to self-level. So after more hours than I would ever care to admit, I worked with one of these and added some Lua code, made a bunch of edits, and I think I finally have it working as it's supposed to as a bona fide hillside combine. So I want to showcase that a little bit. And then I think take a plane trip. We'll just kind of have a flyover and see kind of the map as a whole. Yeah, I was kind of planning maybe that for the final episode, if you will, whenever that's going to be. Let me give this one more sip of fuel. And we have, I think there was 3 fields here with spuds. So there's actually going to be a fair amount, if we harvest them, and I wouldn't have to harvest them all. But there would be a fair amount of spuds here to do, and it'll be kind of handy to be able to hire. Because I assume I can hire this, to do work on its own, and that was kind of the cumbersome part of the other one. Let me get this unfolded. Is you couldn't hire it. You had to manually do everything, which is great. I mean, it's fine. But I think in the style in which, I choose to enjoy this game, I like having the ability to hire things and do other things. Crank her up, Charlie. Okay. Those conveyors are moving. That's cool. That one down there isn't, and I assume this one is going to move when we get full and have material. Alright. Let me see. Oops, I don't know what I did that for. Let me stay down here. We got a nice... I'm left wondering who made this model, or if someone brought it out from... Uh-oh. This ain't looking good. That's coming up. Is this not ready to harvest? I wonder if I'm a little too ahead of things, because that, folks, is not putting anything in the tank. Alright, well that makes me look like a bloomin' idiot. So, let me just turn it off here at the moment, but that's okay. This is eventually where we're going to be harvesting, so... But it's possible. But I know I used it. I did some testing on it, so... Oh, you know something? Maybe that's what I need to do. Let me spread that out. Let me stake that out. maybe... Alright, let me try that again. Aha! I had to have the equipment set up properly. Hey, cool, look at that! Alright, so it does have animation. I think I see a fill plane starting down there, kind of. Oops, I was going to have to show my mouse. Very cool. Okay, so let me just give this a try. That's very neat. It's putting animation on there and showing us the potatoes. And boy, it seems like I'm filling pretty quick. Alright, so this was ready. Maybe some of you who know what you're doing are hollering at the camera. That seems a little fast for some reason. I'll just slow it down to regular combine speed. Wow, that's filling fast. Seems like it's making some funny noises too. Oops. Oops. Can't really hardly drive when I'm at the wrong end. You know, props to... That's decent animation coming in there. This is good old Farm Sim 11. And, you know, there I see the fill plane kind of forming in the middle, the pile of potatoes. The spuds look a little tiny. Is that how it seems to you looking at this? They look a little tiny compared to the size, you know, of them coming off of here. Oh, they even have animation of them falling to the pile. Oops. And the dirt, you know, it's coming up kind of on a bed of dirt up into the machine, which of course would be realistic in real life, and the dirt would be shaking itself out of the spuds. So, you know what? This looks pretty dang good. And the parts are moving down here, so, you know, I had to do some fixes, but I definitely can't take credit for fixing the whole thing. This is looking pretty good. I just had to mainly move some indices around to, you know, get it to behave the way it should, or to fold and some of those things, but someone else, you know, obviously put all this together. And you know what? I'm realizing it now. I'm probably going the wrong direction around the field. Probably should be going the other way. Because, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this behaves with autopilot. Oh, this is jittery. I'm almost afraid to see what my FPS is. 37, 43. That ain't too bad. Not bad at all, but as soon as I get around the outer edge here, oh, and it's putting some, that must be cut short. That's kind of cool, because I think the way the other harvester did it, it didn't put any texture on the ground. I assume there's nothing to do with that other than cultivate it under, you know, when we tear the field out. But that's kind of, that's interesting. I can't remember if that's something I put in the map or activated. I'm still learning so much on that, even on this old game. And, you know, I have some friends who spend most of their time on the newest versions of the game, and it has only gotten more and more complicated, you know, in terms of setting up a map, making mods, and that thing, you know, kind of makes me appreciate the simplicity we had, you know, kind of in these older versions, even if it didn't have all the bells and whistles and fancy graphics. Alright, I think now this is 3/4 full. I wonder, can I get autopilot working? And let me just come over here and let me pull this out of already. I've already defined that. Let's give it a go. Will it do it? Oh, hold on. It's going to turn around the other way. All right, so I want to, let me turn that back on. And active side, let's see, I can do 6. There we go. All right. Let me see if that works. Come on, peep. Oh, it still doesn't want to. Maybe I need to get out of the way. I know what it is. It's probably this equipment over here that's bugging it. It doesn't know it can move. So I'll just kind of help it here, get around this. I'm gonna turn it loose. Oh, autopilot switch. Alright, did I have to... Okay. Well... if I put it over on the left side... This is interesting. This is very interesting. Let me turn this around and see if it'll go the other way. And if this fails, let me first off see, no, I'm not kicking any autopilot errors. Let me see if it'll do active side to the left. And maybe it's having difficulty steering it, you know, given that the mechanism is a little bit different back here. Okay, so this doesn't seem to be working, so now I think I can hire through traditional means. I'm going to give that a try over here, and we'll just see what it does. That's typically what I've done in here with the combine and everything else. I kind of come over to the flat area right where this street comes out. And let's see what angle I need to be at. Let me see. Will it handle traditional hiring? And if it doesn't, I have to admit, I'm going to be a bit disappointed. Let me try to kill whatever sequence was in there with the key 9 and hey, look, ma, no hands. Alright, that's zipping along pretty decent, so it's going to take just a little swath here. You know, though, I seem to recall looking at the higher... Well, we'll see. Let's give it a chance. We'll see if she turns around. She is. Oh, you're going to do this. Oh, yeah, well, not the best result. But I'll tell you what, if it keeps the guy going... trouble is just going to leave kind of a mess, you know, at both ends of the field. But maybe this will get the job done. We see now, yeah, we've got the fill plane is kind of coming up. It doesn't lean out. Oh, there's our combine stopped. It doesn't come out, you know, to take up the full area. I think there were some limitations in the fill plane being able to do that, but regardless, well, let's go collect some spuds and make sure we can take them into our trailer. Let's see. Ah, look at that. Oh, that is satisfying. Animation works. Kinda. Now, wait a minute. Why did it... Oh, because he's trying to unload on the go. Maybe? I bet that's what it is. Alright, well this isn't technically what I should be doing, but I guess I need to unload her on the go. So let me see if I can match speeds here. No. It's almost like it's losing sight of the... Hold the phone. Let me see. How do I get to number 10? 0? Alright, let me turn off the harvester unit here. Come on. Offload. You know, it did so well at some of it. Tank not empty. Of course it's not. Oh, you know what it is. See, I just put the pipe out. There still needs, for somewhere there is a trigger that there's somewhere around here there's an invisible pipe, just like a regular combine. And so it appears I need to make sure it's out. Key B will take it in. Alright, that's something that's probably going to need. You can kind of hear the hydraulics coming in. Maybe real quick, before I'm just going to leave the harvester there in the field. Get turned around here. I want to take this in and we're going to haul it up to the church. I can at least try to do that before we close this episode off. And I want to see if I can dump some potatoes up in there. I only need, what is it, 100 of them? If I remember this correctly. Dosh, there's the dosh. I need 100. So I have 21,000. So maybe I don't need to dump it all. Maybe it won't let me dump it all. We'll just have to see what happens when we shinny ourselves on up the hill. Hopefully not running anyone over in the process. Alright, here we go. I don't think we've ever driven up this steep hill here. We'll be up by the church. There's this grate. So... Whoop. Alright, it says we can dump, maybe? Hey, I thought you told me I could... Well, that's kind of interesting. Okay, so it lets me dump here. Alright, close enough. Okay, that's maybe enough. Maybe I'll put 10,000 in. It's not like I'm hurting for money. And then the rest, I'll just offload down here. Excuse me, Ped, but I'm just running you over. The rest I'll just put in the brewery down here. And send it off there for a little bit of money. Ran over another Ped. Farm worker terrorizes Feldy village. That's probably what the paper reads. Alright, and the rest here will just sell. So evidently, the church has a dosh plant in it, whatever dosh is, and they are hoarding potatoes. So we have 1/3 of this special mission, and yeah, well, we'll just have to see what happens when we fulfill the mission. So I'm going to head back out to the field and continue the harvest, at least get through this particular field. And I will let you go for the moment and see you on the next episode. Goodbye for now.